I knew something was wrong the moment I walked into my own salon and smelled the burning. Not fire. Lord knows I would have preferred that, but the sharp chemical scent of hair dye left cooking too long. The kind of smell that meant somebody had been rushing, careless, or both. And my heart dropped because I hadn't been there that morning. I was supposed to be off, taking my first day of rest in months. But something, call it intuition, call it God, pulled me out of bed and sent me straight to crowning glory, the business I'd built with my bare hands. The sight that greeted me almost brought me to my knees. My appointment book, locked in my office every night, was wide open on the front counter, pages flipped and marked over with names I didn't recognize. 5 women sat waiting, arms crossed, irritated. One was scrolling on her phone, one was staring toward the back door. Another looked up at me and said, "Are you the owner? Because this place is a mess today." My throat tightened. Yes, I'm the owner. Before I could ask any questions, I heard her voice, sharp, confident, too confident. "Ayana, you early," my cousin Tiana called out, stepping from the back room like she owned the place. She had my apron on, and the look on her face said she wasn't surprised to see me, just annoyed. I blinked, trying to process what I was seeing. "Tiana, what's going on?" She tilted her head, ponytail swinging. "Nothing. Just handling business like you told me to." Except I had never told her she could book appointments in my name. Never told her she could access my office. Never told her she could run my salon like it was hers. And she knew it. I tried to keep my voice steady. "We need to talk now." The clients looked at each other, whispering. I forced myself to smile at them. "Ladies, give me just a minute." But as soon as I stepped toward the back room, I froze. My register was open, not just open, empty, and my stomach flipped so hard I had to grab the counter to steady myself. I turned to face her, and this time there was no calm left in me. "Where's the money that was in here last night?" Tiana sigh laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a mocking one. "Girl, relax. I moved it. I needed it to order more supplies since you never keep enough around." The audacity hit me like a slap. "You what? You touched my deposits?" She shrugged, tossing her hand like this was a joke. "It's not that deep. I'm practically running the place anyway. You should be thanking me." And that was when something cold ran through my chest. The way she said it, practically running the place. The same cousin I took in at 17 when her mama put her out. The same girl I fed, clothed, and trained. The same girl who cried in my arms the day she said she wanted to be just like me. Now she was standing in my salon, in my apron, doing my clients, taking my money, and talking like I was the one in her way. My voice came out low. "Where is the money that was in this register last night?" She sigh laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a mocking one. "Gone." My heart spasmed. "Gone where?" "To someone who appreciates what I bring to the table." That was when I realized she wasn't just stealing money. She wasn't just stealing clients. She was stealing my business right out from under me. I stared at her, feeling my pulse throb in my ears. "You went behind my back. You booked clients under my name. You took my money. You accessed my office. You did what needed to be done." She snapped. "You're too old school. You hold this place back. I'm the reason people come in here. You should be grateful I'm even keeping your business alive." And that was when it hit me. She didn't see me as the woman who raised her. She didn't see me as the one who gave her a career. She saw me as competition. Suddenly, one of the waiting clients stood up. "Excuse me," she called. "If somebody doesn't start doing hair soon, I'm leaving." I felt the room tilt. My world was crumbling in front of strangers. I inhaled slowly. "Tiana, step into the break room. Now." She smirked. "Or what? Or you walk out of my salon permanently." Her eyebrows shot up. "You kicking me out? Me? After everything I did for you?" I almost laughed at the irony. She took a step toward the door, toward the waiting clients, like she was about to continue doing business as usual. And that's when I saw the text notification flash across her phone screen. A preview. One line that made my blood run ice cold. "Got the list. I'll bring the rest of the supplies to your salon tomorrow." Your salon. A salon that wasn't mine. A salon she apparently planned to open. A salon she was stealing my clients and my money to fund. My voice cracked with fury. "Tiana, What did you do? She looked at me with a coldness I had never seen in her. Something I should have done a long time ago. I built my own shop, and those clients, they're coming with me. The room spun. My cousin, the girl I raised, had already built a salon behind my back, and she was stocking it with my money. My throat tightened as I watched her walk past me, chin high, swinging her borrowed confidence like a weapon. We're done here. You just don't know it yet. She grabbed her purse, pushed open the salon door, and stepped into the sunlight like she was stepping into her new life, leaving me in the middle of my shop, surrounded by angry clients, the scent of burnt dye hanging thick in the air, and the horrifying realization that she had already made her move, and I was already losing. But I wasn't going down without a fight. Not after everything I survived, and definitely not to the girl I once called my own.
The moment the door closed behind Tiana, the whole salon felt like it exhaled. The women in the waiting area shifted, whispering behind their hands. I stood there frozen, my palms sweating, my mind racing so fast it felt like I was vibrating. I had spent 20 years surviving motherhood, divorce, foreclosure, a recession, a pandemic, Lord knows what else, but nothing ever hit me like seeing that message on her phone. Your salon. Like I had just been a stepping stone, a temporary landing spot, training ground for her real plan. Still, the women waiting weren't thinking about any of that. They were thinking about their hair and how long they'd been sitting there without service. One of them spoke up. Ma'am, should we come back another time? I forced myself to pull it together. My voice shook, but I smiled anyway. No, sweetie, I got you. Let me just give you all a quick update. I stepped forward, hands clasped, trying to hide the trembling. Ladies, thank you for your patience. I apologize for the confusion this morning. I'll take whoever's willing to stay. The woman with the short burgundy bob raised her hand. I'll stay. My daughter's homecoming is tonight, so somebody got to do something. The others nodded, murmuring. I swallowed hard. All right then, thank you. I took the first client back and started working. My hands shook at first, but muscle memory took over. After 20 years behind a chair, hair was the one place where the world made sense. Still, every time I glanced toward the front desk, a cold wave rippled through me. The empty register, the appointment book scribbled with names in Tiana's handwriting, the smirk on her face when she said, I'm the reason people come in here. The betrayal sat in my chest like a stone. As I curled the client's hair, she said softly, That was your cousin? I nodded without looking up. Yeah, something like that. She seemed bold, too bold. I didn't respond. I just kept curling. When I finished the style, she stood to look in the mirror and let out a happy gasp. Oh, you did that. I'm glad I stayed. Her smile warmed me a little, enough to breathe. But when she went to pay, reaching for her wallet, she glanced at the wide open register drawer. Should I just give you cash? I sighed. Cash or Zelle, register's down right now. Half a lie, half the truth. The best I could do without exploding. By the time I finished the last woman, my back ached. My throat was dry and the sun had moved across the floor. The salon felt empty now. Too quiet, like a body after a soul leaves it. I locked the door behind the final client and pressed my forehead against the glass, letting out a long, shaky breath. Then I turned back into the shop. That's when I finally noticed the next hit. My office door was cracked open. I always locked it. Always! But now, the lock was scratched, like someone had jammed something into it. My stomach tightened. Slowly, I pushed the door open. Every file drawer was open. Papers scattered across the floor, vendor contracts, client notes, tax documents, invoices. She'd gone through everything. Every corner of my business. Every piece of history, every piece of me. The betrayal felt physical, like a weight pressing down on my shoulders, making my knees weak. I walked deeper inside and froze at the most devastating part. My safe box, the small black box where I kept emergency cash, spare keys, old family jewelry, pieces Mama left me. It was half tucked behind the cabinet, lying sideways, lid open, empty. completely empty. I let out a raw, ragged sound I didn't recognize at first. It was me, a sound ripped out of my chest halfway between a cry and a growl. She took it all. The cash, about $2,300 I kept for emergencies, the keys, my spare salon keys, my storage unit keys, Mama's silver bracelet, the ring she wore every day until her last breath. Gone. I sank into the chair. Just sat there, shaking, hands over my mouth, trying not to scream. After a minute or maybe 10, I forced myself to stand. I couldn't fall apart. Not now. Not alone in my office with the lights off and the ghost of my cousin's betrayal choking the air. I needed answers. Proof. Something to show I wasn't losing my mind. I checked the security cameras. All 9 of them. Every single feed was dead. Black screen. Disconnected. Tiana had cut the wires. A chill slid down my spine. She didn't act recklessly. She planned this. She strategized. She prepared. This wasn't a slip-up. This wasn't immaturity. This was an ambush. My phone buzzed. I grabbed it fast, hoping for a sign, any sign that this nightmare was fixable. It was a message from my bank. Withdrawals flagged as suspicious. 3 large Zelle transfers, all to an account I didn't recognize. The amounts hit me like blows. $600, $1,200, $800, all sent early that morning. My breath left me in a shaky whoosh. She didn't just steal from the register. She transferred money out of my business account, my working capital, my cushion. She had drained nearly $3,000 before I even woke up. Another notification buzzed. New login from unknown device. My throat closed. She had accessed my online banking. She had everything. My salon keys, my records, my money, my family jewelry, my client list, everything. As I stood there staring at the screen, a heaviness settled over me. Not just anger, not just pain, humiliation. I raised her, fed her, clothed her, gave her a career, and she used that love as leverage to destroy me. The weight of that realization nearly dropped me to my knees. I leaned against the desk, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles whitened. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number, 1 line, the kind of line that makes your entire body go cold. Stay out of my way if you know what's good for you. My vision blurred with heat, anger, disbelief, shock. I stumbled backwards, staring at the message, my pulse hammering. My voice cracked, barely a whisper in the silent office. Oh, Tiana, what are you doing? That's when I heard it. A sound outside. Footsteps. Slow, purposeful, right outside my salon window. And then a soft tap on the glass. Once, twice, 3 times. I froze, heart pounding in my throat. I turned toward the front door and saw a silhouette standing there, watching me, waiting. And the worst part is I knew exactly who it was. For a split second, I couldn't move. My feet felt glued to the salon floor, my breath trapped somewhere between my ribs and my throat. The silhouette outside shifted, just enough for me to see the outline more clearly. Shoulders forward, chin tucked, hands in pockets, leaning like he had all the time in the world. Derek, my ex-husband. Lord, not today. He'd tap the glass again, that same rhythm he used back when we were married, and he'd show up after midnight, drunk or desperate, or both, wanting money, forgiveness, or a place to sleep. Tap, tap, tap. My stomach twisted. I hadn't seen this man in almost a year, and the last time I did, he left with $200 I knew I'd never see again. I straightened myself, widened my eyes with the back of my hand, and walked toward the door. I didn't open it right away. I stood behind the glass and looked him dead in his face. His eyes flicked over me, then the dark salon behind me. You open? He asked like this was any ordinary afternoon. No, I said through the door. We're closed. He gave a lazy smile. You don't look closed. I said we're closed, Derek. He shrugged. All right then. You want to open the door so we can talk? No, I don't. His smile faded into something sharper. Ayanna, stop playing. I need to talk to you. Of course he did. Men like him never show up unless they need something. I cracked the door an inch. Just enough for speak, not enough for him to slide in. What do you want? That cousin of yours. He nodded toward the side street.
Tiana, she came by earlier. My heartbeat thudded so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. She told me y'all had a disagreement. He smirked. Said you was getting rid of her? Said she needed a place to stay? I clenched my jaw. I don't know what she told you, and she said, he continued, raising his eyebrows, you owe her money. A lot of money. Said you've been using her for years. Anger flared hot and fast. You know that's a lie. He leaned closer, voice dropping. I know you got money, Ayana. You always do. And you know I've been struggling. So if y'all got money problems, maybe I can help the two of y'all work it out. I stared at him, stunned, disgusted. Help? You? He nodded slowly. Yeah. But he held out his hand. I'm going to need something. Just a little loan. Till next week. I wanted to slam the door in his face so hard it shook the building. Instead, I said, Derek, get away from my shop. He leaned in, trying to wedge his foot inside the door. Come on now. I pushed the door shut hard before he could get it open. He jerked his foot back just in time. Then he pounded a fist against the glass. Ayana, don't do this. I turned my back. I was done entertaining old ghosts. After a few seconds, I heard him curse under his breath, then his footsteps fading away until silence returned. I locked the top bolt, the bottom bolt, then the extra one I installed after the divorce. My hands were trembling again. I walked back into the dim salon, rubbing my forehead. My body felt heavy, like someone had draped a weighted blanket over my shoulders. Betrayal was one thing, but betrayal coming from all sides, family and past mistakes, made my chest feel tight. I sat in one of the styling chairs and let myself breathe for a moment. Just breathe. That's when my phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did. Another unknown number. Another message, only this one wasn't threatening. It was a screenshot. My heart dropped as I stared at it. A list of names. 23 of them. My regulars. The ones who came every week. The loyalty I built over years. Every one of them had been added to something labeled Tiana's VIP client roster. My mouth went dry. Beneath the list was a caption. Soft grand opening tomorrow. Don't tell Ayana. Kissy. I blinked. My vision blurred from pure fury. She had taken my list, copied every client's number, promised them discounted services at her new luxury salon. My salon wasn't even luxury. It was cozy, warm, home. But Tiana always dreamed big when someone else was footing the bill. I stared at the screenshot until the numbers doubled on the screen. I didn't even know who sent it. The number wasn't saved. Could have been a client. Could have been someone watching this mess unfold. I stood slowly. No more shaking, no more freezing, no more letting people, blood or not, run through me. I marched back into the office and opened my laptop. If Tiana thought she was going to steal my business in daylight, she had another thing coming. I began typing furiously. To all clients, subject, important update from Crown and Glory. My fingers flew over the keys. I told them there had been unauthorized access to appointments. I told them all payments would be processed safely through me only. I told them I valued the trust they placed in me. I told them I wasn't going anywhere. I read it twice, made minor edits, then hit send. But the second it sent, another text came through from a client I adored. A sweet older woman named Miss Carol. Her message made my hands go cold. Baby, I thought you knew. I already booked with Tiana for tomorrow. She told us you were retiring. Retiring? Retiring? I dropped my phone. It bounced against the office chair and clattered onto the floor. Retiring. She told my clients I was done, that I was stepping aside, that she was taking over. I pressed a trembling hand to my chest. Lord, what is happening? A wave of dizziness hit me. I sat down fast, and that's when I noticed something else under the desk. A small white envelope with my name on it, tucked just far enough back that I wouldn't have seen it unless I sat at this exact angle. My stomach turned as I reached for it. Inside was a single sheet of notebook paper. Torn, ripped at the edges, her handwriting, messy, sharp. If you try to stop me, I'll take everything. I know more about you than you think. Don't push me, Ayana. Don't make me your enemy. I stared at the words. My breath caught in my throat. Take Everything? Know more about me? What was she talking about? What did she know? What else had she done? My pulse raced. I grabbed my phone to call the police, and that's when I heard it. A faint sound, a tiny chime, coming from the front of the salon, like a door unlocking, except I had lacked every door. My heart lurched. I stood slowly, quietly, tiptoed to the office doorway, peered out. The salon was dark, still, silent, and then a soft creak. The front door opening. Someone was inside. I held my breath, every muscle tense, eyes wide. A shadow moved across the wall, closer, closer, and then a voice, soft, shaky, called out, "Ayana, it's me. We need to talk." I knew that voice. Lord help me. It was my niece, Tiana's younger sister, and she was crying.
The moment I heard her voice, something inside me twisted. "Ayana, please, it's me." That soft tremble was unmistakable. Nia, 18 years old, barely grown, with the kind of innocence her sister had lost a long time ago or thrown away. I stepped out of the office slowly, keeping one hand on the doorframe just in case my knees gave out again. Today had already taken more out of me than the last 6 months combined. "Nia?" I called softly. She appeared from behind the product shelf, wiping her face with the sleeve of her hoodie. Her eyes were red and puffy, her braids frizzed at the edges like she'd been crying for a long time before she ever made it here. "Auntie," she whispered, voice cracking. I didn't know where else to go. Seeing her like that tugged at something deep in me, something that still wanted to protect these girls, even when one had just gutted my life from the inside out. I opened my arms and she fell into them like a child, like she had been holding herself together until this exact moment. "Oh, baby," I murmured, rubbing her back. "What happened? What's going on?" She pulled away, breathing fast, shaking her head. "Tiana, she's lost it, Auntie. She don't care about nobody anymore. Not me, not you, not nobody." My chest tightened. "Tell me what you mean." She wiped her face again. "She kicked me out the apartment." My mouth fell open. "She what?" "She said I was getting in her way. She said her new life don't have space for dead weight." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "She said I could go stay with my mama, but mama ain't even got a place to stay. You know that." I did know that. Their mother bounced from friend to friend, man to man, couch to couch, never stable long enough for either of her girls to grow roots. That was how Tiana ended up with me in the first place. But to kick out her own sister? I whispered, barely believing it. "In the middle of all this? She kicked you out because you're dead weight?" Nia nodded hard, sniffing. "She's been different for weeks. But after she started that secret salon project, she changed even more. She don't sleep. She don't talk to me. She's always on the phone with some man named Jory or Jor-El or something like that. She said he's helping her with business stuff, but he feels," she shuddered, "he feels wrong." A cold prickle crawled up my spine. A man? Helping her with business? I didn't know why, but something about that didn't sit right with me. "What do you mean, wrong?" "She'd be whispering on the phone with him all night, and one time I heard him yelling at her, like aggressive, threatening. She told me to mind my business. She headed her fiercely. She's know what she's gotten herself into, but she's scared of him, Auntie. I can tell, and she's trying so hard to pretend she's not." I let out a slow breath. It made too much sense. The sudden ambition, the secrecy, the attitude, the confidence that wasn't earned but borrowed, the financial recklessness. She wasn't just being bold. Someone was pushing her. "Why'd you come here?" I asked gently. Nia swallowed, looking around the dark salon like she expected someone to jump out. Because she's planning something that ain't right. And you need to know." She hesitated, breathing in sharply. "I saw the lease agreement." A chill ran through me. "Lease agreement for what?" "For her new salon." Her voice cracked again. "She didn't just use your money for supplies. She put down a full deposit on the space. Almost $5,000. My stomach dropped. $5,000? From where? Nia pointed toward the office. From everything she could get her hands on. Your business account, your cash box, your client deposits, the money from the back-to-school hair drive, all of it.
I staggered backward like she'd slapped me. She said, Nia continued, voice trembling, Ayana don't know how to be in charge no more. I'm taking over before she ruins the whole thing. It was like hearing my deepest fear spoken out loud. The part of me that sometimes wondered if maybe I was slowing down, if maybe younger stylists were more on trend, if maybe 20 years behind the chair had made me out of touch. But to hear it twisted into a weapon, something ignited in my chest. Pain, rage, clarity. She's opening her salon tomorrow, Auntie, she whispered. Soft opening, but she's not doing it alone. That man she's been talking to, he's the one fronting the rest of the money. And he told her, Nia looked down, voice fading. He told her to get rid of anything that ties her to you. My heart stopped. Ties her to me? Nia nodded. He said she got to cut loose ends. My throat tightened painfully. She called me a loose end? She called everyone that's ever helped her a loose end. But you? She said, you're the biggest one. I felt physically sick. The girl I loved like my own child. The girl I fed, housed, trained, protected. A girl whose first paycheck I hand-delivered in an envelope with a bow. A girl I hugged when her heart broke, who sat on my couch and cried into my shirt. She thought I was something to cut? I had to sit down. My legs were shaking too hard to hold me. Nia sat on the floor beside my chair, hugging her knees. She looked so small, so lost. Auntie, Nia said, suddenly sitting up straighter. There's more. My heart clenched. What? Tiana, she hacked your email. She winced like the words hurt. And your bank. And your appointment system. That man showed her how. Blood rushed in my ears. He did what? She's been watching everything you do. Every booking, every client message, every invoice. She said she had to stay ahead of the game, but then I heard her say something that scared me more than anything. I leaned in. What did she say? She said she had enough information to ruin you if you got in her way. My breath stopped. Ruin me? How? She swallowed. She said she could make it look like you stole the money. My vision blurred for a second. I grabbed the edge of the salon chair to steady myself. She said, Nia whispered, I got all her passwords. I can make it look like she ran her own business into the ground. Every inch of me went cold. She wasn't just planning to leave. She was planning to destroy me on the way out. I opened my mouth to respond, but that's when the lights flickered. Once, twice, then shut off completely. The salon went pitch black. Nia grasped my arm. I froze listening, heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. And then, a faint metallic click, the sound of a lock turning from the back entrance. The door I never used. The door only employees had keys to. The door Tiana had access to. I gripped Nia's hand. Don't move. We stared into the darkness as a shape slid through the back doorway. Tall, broad, slow moving. Definitely not Tiana. A deep voice echoed in the dark. Where's the kid? We came for her. Nia's nails dug into my arm as she whispered, Auntie, that's him. That's the man Tiana's been talking to, and he wasn't alone.
I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the last few weeks. Every weird look, every missing supply order, every hesitant client, every whisper that floated around my shop. By sunrise, my whole body felt tight like a wound-up coil ready to snap. I needed answers. Real answers. No more guessing, no more hoping maybe I was overreacting. I had to face the truth head on, even if it hurt. The moment I unlocked Serenity braids that morning, I smelled it. Chemicals, not the usual lavender and tea tree oil we used for treatments. This was something sharper, harsher, like bleach mixed with hair dye. My stomach flipped. Hello? I called out. Though I already knew no one was supposed to be there, I hadn't given anyone a key. Except Sasha. I walked through the salon slowly, scanning everything. My styling chair was shifted. Products were missing from the front display. The register drawer was slightly open. And my appointment log, my old school handwritten sacred book, was sitting on the floor, pages bent and torn, like someone had flipped through it in a hurry. My heart pounded in my throat. Then I saw the back office door cracked open. I pushed it gently, and there she was. Sasha,
sat at my desk, typing on her phone, stacks of my client files spread out in front of her like she was running some kind of operation. She didn't even look surprised to see me. Instead, she gave me this smug little smile that made something in my chest twist. "Morning, cuz," she said, like she had every right to be there. "What are you doing in my office?" My voice was tight, too tight, but I kept it steady. She sighed dramatically. "I was organizing your clients, trying to help. I told you yesterday, you need structure." I stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. She didn't flinch. "Why are my books on the floor? Why is the product display empty? Why does it smell like someone was mixing bleach and dye in here?" My voice rose with each question. She rolled her eyes like I was being unreasonable. "Calm down. Some stuff spilled, that's all. I cleaned it up." I looked around. She hadn't cleaned anything. There were smudges on the floor, splatters on the counter, a towel covered in something dark red. Maybe dye, or maybe not. My stomach dropped further. "You're lying," I whispered. She tucked a strand of her long honey brown hair behind her ear and leaned back in my chair. My chair. "Why you always gotta assume the worst of me, Lynette? I'm just trying to grow the business." "You slow, you stuck. I'm the one with fresh ideas." The words stung more than they should have. I'd mentored her, taught her everything, made room for her in my life, in my shop when she had nothing. And now she sat there acting like she was the one who built this place with her bare hands. Then she said something that made my knees go weak. "Besides, most of your clients want to work with me now anyway. I mean, you had your time, but they want something new." My breath caught in my chest. "What did you just say?" She shrugged. Casual, careless. "Half of your regulars already moved to my chair. I rebooked them." Something in me cracked right down the middle. "You what?" My voice came out hoarse. "Girl, don't start crying," she groaned. "It's business. You acting like I stole your husband." I slammed my hand down on the desk so hard, she jumped. "You stole my clients," I said through clenched teeth. "You used my name, my salon, my years of hard work to take people away from me after everything I did for you." She stood brushing past me like I was in her way. "You're too emotional. This is why you're losing people. You make everything personal." "It is personal. You're family." She turned back, eyes cold as marble. "Family don't pay bills." I stared at her, stunned. "So that's what this is about? Money? Status? You wanted my salon so bad you'd go behind my back and sabotage me?" She gave a small shrug, almost bored. "If you can't handle competition, maybe you shouldn't be running a business." I felt heat burning up my spine, my hand shaking. I said quietly, "Get out." She blinked. "What?" "Get out of my salon," she laughed. A short, mean sound. "You serious? Get out before I call the police." That's when she dropped the real bomb. "You ain't calling nobody. You forgot whose name helped you get that last loan, or whose address you used when yours wasn't stable? You really want to go down that road?" My heart stopped cold. Sasha had things on me, old things, desperate things from hard times I hadn't fully recovered from, things she could twist if she wanted to. And from the look in her eyes, she wanted to. She walked right up to me and whispered, "You need me more than you think." Then she pushed past me and walked out of the office like she owned the place. I stood there trembling, rage and fear fighting for space inside me. What had I let into my life? What had I invited into my business, into my heart? Then I walked over to my desk and looked down at the client file she was sorting. Notes were scribbled in the margins, appointments changed, names crossed out, phone numbers circled, as if she was planning her own private client list. And then I found something that made my vision blur. A printed flyer lying underneath the files. Glossy, professional, expensive. It showed a new salon. Sasha's new salon. Opening soon. Same neighborhood. same services, same branding style, same color scheme. At the bottom, owned and operated by Sasha Hale. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere. My hand flew to my mouth as I realized the truth. She wasn't trying to steal my clients. She was trying to replace me. The room spun. My knees buckled. I grabbed the desk just to stay upright. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from one of my longtime clients. "Hey Lynn, I heard you were shutting down soon. Is that true? Sasha said you were retiring." The phone slid out of my hand and clattered onto the floor, echoing through the empty salon. Everything I'd built, everything I'd poured my heart into was slipping away. And the person doing it was the girl I once held like a daughter. The betrayal hit me so hard I couldn't breathe. Then the front door jingled. I looked up, eyes still wet, and froze. Sasha was back, and she wasn't alone.
Sasha stepped back into the salon with a slow confidence that made my skin crawl. She held the door open with her hip while two women walked in behind her. Women I recognized instantly. Keisha, one of my oldest clients, someone who'd been with me since before I even had a real storefront. And behind her, Marissa, a newer client but loyal, or so I thought. Both carried their purses awkwardly, glancing around like they weren't sure they should be there. Sasha, on the other hand, looked like she just strutted into her coronation. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice low and tight. Keisha gave me an apologetic half smile. "Hey, Lynn, Sasha told us you wanted to talk to all your clients in person." My jaw locked. "Did she?" Sasha crossed her arms and leaned against my reception desk. "Yeah, I figured I'd help you out since you've been overwhelmed." Overwhelmed. That word burned. I stared at her. "I didn't call a meeting." She lifted her eyebrows. "Well, maybe you should have." Keisha stepped forward. "Lynn, baby, you okay? You look like you seen a ghost." I swallowed hard. Couldn't fall apart. Not in front of my own clients. I had to breathe even though my chest felt like someone was squeezing it shut. "I'm fine," I lied. Marissa chimed in carefully. "We just wanted to know if the rumors are true. Are you really closing down?" My heart just about dropped into my stomach. Rumors? What rumors? Sasha made a soft clicking sound with her tongue. "Lynn, can we not do this? You know you've been thinking about stepping back." I turned to her so sharply she actually flinched. "No, I have not." Keisha looked between us nervously. "Sasha said you was maybe retiring early and she was going to help transition us over." Transition us over. My hands clenched so tight the bones in my knuckles popped. I took a slow breath, then another. "Let me be very clear," I said, looking each of them straight in the eyes. Serenity Braids is not closing. I am not leaving. I did not authorize any transition, any transfer, any change. If you heard something different, it did not come from me. Keisha widened her eyes, surprised. Marissa frowned, confused. Sasha's expression hardened like stone. "This is messy, Lynn," Sasha snapped. "You're confusing people." "No, you're confusing people." Silence filled the room like a thick fog. Then Sasha stepped forward. "I just want what's best for the business." "This is my business," I said, my voice trembling but strong. "I built this with my hands, with my sweat, with every hour I stayed up designing, planning, praying. Not you." Her face twitched. That tiny crack in her composure gave me strength. Keisha slowly nodded. "You know, this does sound more like the Lynn I know. I should have asked you first." Sasha's jaw tightened. "You're only saying that because she guilt-tripping y'all." Marissa folded her arms. "No, we're listening because this feels off." Something shifted then. Subtle, but powerful. You could feel loyalty trying to find its rightful home. And Sasha didn't like that. Not one bit. She suddenly pulled out her phone and waved it dramatically. "Fine. You want to act brand new in front of people? Cool. Let's show them the truth." I blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" She tapped her screen, then shoved it inches from my face. And there it was. An email screenshot from my
email account, my name, my signature, sent to dozens of clients, announcing that I was transitioning out of daily operations and entrusting the salon to Sasha's leadership during a difficult time. My entire body cold. I didn't send that, I whispered. Sasha smiled. Didn't you? Because it sure came from your address with your password. My throat closed. She knew my passwords. I had helped her get a job once, let her handle intake forms for a month. I'd given her access to everything, back when I thought she cared. She must have copied everything, stored it, waited. Keisha gasped. Lynn, this looks real. Marissa stared at me. Did you? I shook my head fiercely. No, I swear to you, I never wrote that. Sasha shrugged with fake pity. Maybe you forgot, or maybe you changed your mind and don't want to admit it. My legs trembled with fury. You hacked my accounts. You impersonated me. That's a big accusation, she said lightly. You should be careful. Keisha raised her chin. I know Lynn. She ain't do this. But before the moment could settle, the bell on the door jingled again. 2 more people walked in, and my stomach twisted when I recognized them. A man in a gray suit and a sheriff's deputy. The man held a clipboard flipping through papers. Are you Ms. Lynette Carson? My heart hammered. Yes, he nodded. We're here regarding the pending eviction notice on this business space. The room went dead silent. Eviction notice. My knees buckled. I gripped a chair to steady myself. Sasha smirked behind me, just enough for me to see it in the mirror. Like this was a game she had already won. And deep in my chest, something dark and painful bloomed. Fear, but also fire. Because whatever this was, whatever she had set into motion, it was only just beginning.
For a moment, I couldn't hear anything. Not Sasha's quiet smirk behind me, not Keisha's hushed, Lord Jesus, not even the man in the gray suit flipping papers like this was just another routine errand. All I heard was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Eviction, my salon, my sanctuary, my livelihood, my everything. No, I whispered. There must be a mistake. The man cleared his throat. Ma'am, we've attempted to contact you several times over the last month. Notices were sent to the address we have on file. What address? I croaked. He read from the paperwork. 5421 Jefferson Street. I blinked. That was Sasha's address, her old place, the address I had long since removed from my business paperwork, or so I thought. That's not my current address, I said, my voice unsteady but rising. I haven't lived there in years. I updated my documents. The man adjusted his glasses. Well, according to the leaseholder account, change of address forms were submitted 3 months ago. Submitted by who? I demanded. He flipped the page. Signed by you, Miss Carson. My hands trembled. I snatched the paper before he could protest and scanned it. My signature, my handwriting, except not quite. It was close. Real close, a near perfect imitation, but the loops on the Y's were too narrow, the slant a hair too sharp. Someone had practiced, studied, learned my hand like it was their own. I didn't have to look up. I knew whose work it was. Sasha crossed her arms and leaned against my front desk like she was relaxing at a picnic table. Maybe you forgot you filled it out. You've been a little scattered lately. The boldness, the nerve, the shamelessness. Keisha stepped forward, eyes blazing. Girl, stop playing. You know she ain't signed nothing like this. But Sasha didn't even dignify her with a glance. She was focused entirely on me, testing how far she could push before I snapped. The deputy stepped forward gently. Ma'am, regardless of how it happened, the landlord is terminating your tenancy. You have until the end of the week to vacate. The room spun. The end of the week? That was days away. I've paid my rent, I insisted, voice cracking. I know I have. I'm not behind. The man checked his clipboard again. Payments were marked as late for 3 consecutive months, and the last 2 were reversed. Reversed? I echoed, confused. What does that mean? Refuted with the bank. Marked as fraudulent withdrawals. My blood went cold. Someone had reversed my rent payments. Someone with access to my accounts. Someone who'd been logging into my emails, my files, my passwords. Someone I trusted like
kin. My gaze drifted to Sasha, and she met my eyes with this slow, poisonous smirk that made my stomach twist. You need to be more careful with your finances, Lynn. You don't want to look irresponsible. I saw red, dark, hot, overwhelming red. Before I could stop myself, I moved toward her, not to hit her, no matter how much my hands twitched, but because I needed her to see the fire in my face, needed her to feel the heat of what she'd done. You did this, I whispered. Sasha didn't blink. Prove it. The words cut deeper than any blade. My legs weakened, but I straightened myself, refusing to crumble. Not in front of her. Not in front of anybody. The deputy spoke again, apologetic. Ma'am, I'm truly sorry, but you have 7 days. Keisha stepped up beside me, placing a hand on my back. We'll figure this out, okay? Don't you fall apart here. But the man wasn't finished. He handed me one more envelope. This was also filed. It's regarding outstanding balances and a request for a full audit of your business license. I froze. An audit? I repeated. Yes, from the city. They'll need access to your records and tax filings. Immediately. My heart thundered. Sasha snorted softly. Ooh, tough timing, huh? Keisha spun around. Sasha, what is wrong with you? Sasha smoothed her hair like she was prepping for a camera. I'm just saying, running a business is hard. Maybe Lynn needs a real break. Y'all know she's been tired. My throat tightened. Get out, I said. Sasha tilted her head. What? I said, get out of my salon. She laughed. You gonna keep kicking me out? This place barely got a week left. Marissa finally spoke, voice trembling with anger. You really did this, didn't you? You went after her business. Sasha shrugged. Why shouldn't I have my own space? Lynn isn't the only one who deserves success. She helped you. Marissa shot back. She held me back. She corrected sharply. Kept me in her shadow, treated me like a charity case, not a partner. I'm done playing small. I stepped forward again. You could have built your own damn dream without burning mine to the ground. Sasha's eyes glittered, but this way was faster. The deputy, sensing the rising storm, gently guided the man in the suit toward the door. We'll follow up later, Miss Carson. They left quietly, leaving the air heavy with shock and betrayal. When the door clicked shut, it felt like the whole building exhaled. Then Sasha grabbed her purse off the counter and said, well, since you're clearly emotional, I'll go. She headed for the door. I thought she might leave without another word. I was wrong. She paused in the doorway, looked over her shoulder, and said, don't blame me when your whole world falls apart. Maybe it's time for you to let someone better take over. And then she was gone. The silence she left behind was suffocating. Keisha wrapped her arm around me as my knees nearly buckled. Lynn, baby, that girl dangerous. That ain't just jealousy. She trying to erase you. I swallowed hard. My chest shook. But through the fear, through the humiliation, through the pain of watching my life collapse, a spark lit inside me, a slow burning rage that felt like the very beginning of a woman finally waking up. She wants a war, I whispered, my voice trembling but strong. Then she's about to get one, because I might have lost my footing today, but I hadn't lost myself, and I damn sure hadn't lost my fight.
I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too much, my chest too tight, my mind too loud. Keisha offered to drive me, but I told her I needed space. She hugged me the way only a woman who's seen storms can, tight, warm, and full of quiet knowing. And then she left me standing on the sidewalk outside my own salon like I was watching the last pieces of my life drift away. I looked through the window at Serenity braids, my chairs, my mirrors, my plants, my dream in glossy wood floors and warm lighting. 7 days. 7 days before I'd lose it all. I pressed a fist against my chest, trying to keep from unraveling. My body felt like it wasn't mine, hollow, shaking, stretched thin in every direction. I forced myself to take a breath, then another. Get it together, Lynn. You don't break. You bend. But even as I said it, my vision blurred. I got in my car, gripped the steering wheel, and finally let myself break for just a moment. Not a sob, not a scream, just a silent outpouring of
everything I'd been holding back. Memories flashed in the blur. Me interviewing for the lease for the salon, hands trembling but proud. Me signing the first client. Me sweeping the floor at midnight after my grand opening. Me braiding Sasha's hair when she was 13, promising her she'd always have a place with me, in my shop, in my life. I thought about how she used to fall asleep on my couch when her mama was out running the streets, how I'd feed her, braid her, shield her, love her. How did we get here? How does love turn into this kind of betrayal? I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and started the car. I didn't go home. I went to the bank. The moment I stepped inside, I headed straight for the desk of a woman I'd known for years, Miss Patrice, the kind of no-nonsense banker who didn't play about two things, her wig and her paperwork. She looked up and immediately frowned. "Lynette, baby, what's wrong?" I sat down hard, like my bones couldn't hold me up anymore. "I need to check my account activity. All of it, right now." Her face grew serious. She typed fast, nails clicking furiously. "What exactly are you looking for? Unauthorized changes, reverse payments?" My voice cracked. "Fraud." When she finally turned the screen toward me, my stomach hit the floor. 3 reversed rent payments. 2 flagged transfers I'd never made, a password change request, a recovery email added, and that email address, Sasha's. I felt heat flush up my neck. I never approved any of this. Patrice pursed her lips. "Then someone got in." "She did," I whispered. "She's been logging in, reading everything, moving money." Patrice leaned closer. "If what you saying is true, you need to file a fraud report immediately." "I will." My voice shook. "But the landlord already filed eviction. They think I didn't pay." "And you did," she said, pointing to the screen, "but someone went behind you and reversed your payments. Baby, that ain't just petty behavior. That's a federal offense." Her tone made something inside me unclench a little, like I wasn't crazy, like someone finally saw what I was up against. "Can I stop the eviction?" I whispered. She sighed. "Maybe, but you're gonna need proof. Statements, screenshots, documentation." A flicker of hope lit in my chest. Proof. I could gather proof. But then Patrice pointed to one more thing on the screen that made my heart freeze in my chest. "Lynette, someone also applied for a business loan under your name." My breath left me. "A loan?" She pointed. "For $25,000? My hand flew to my mouth. "When?" "2 weeks ago." My vision tunneled. Sasha had been busy. Dangerous busy. And now I was staring at the consequences. "Was it approved?" I whispered. "No, it was flagged. Too many discrepancies." "Thank God. But the fact she tried," she shook her head. "This girl is trying to ruin you, Lynette." I swallowed hard. "Why? Why would she do this to me?" Patrice raised her eyebrow. "Why does anyone betray somebody who gave them everything? Greed? Envy? Entitlement? Pick one." Every word hit like a slap. And deep down, I knew she was right. Patrice printed everything. Statements, logs, timestamps, IP addresses. "Take this. Foul charges. Don't let this slide. She's gone too far." I clutched the papers like a lifeline. "Thank you." "Honey," she said, touching my hand, "this ain't the end of your story. It's just the part where you get mad enough to fight back." I nodded slowly. Fight back. Those words felt like armor. When I walked out the bank, evening light cast long shadows across the parking lot. I paused beside my car, gripping the stack of documents like they were bricks for rebuilding a house. Before I could open the door, my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. I tapped it open and felt my stomach drop. "You should stop digging, Lynn. You won't like what you find." Then another message. "You're already losing everything. Don't make it worse." My hand trembled so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Sasha, it had to be. I looked around the parking lot slowly, scanning the spaces, half expecting her to jump out from behind a car. Nothing, just quiet. Then one more message came in, this one with a picture of my salon, my beautiful front store, the lights on, someone standing inside, and the caption, "Soon it'll be mine." My breath caught. My fingers tightened around the phone until my knuckles went white. Fear twisted in my chest, but right behind it, rising like heat off asphalt, came a fury I hadn't felt in years. She thought she could scare me. She thought she could take everything from me. She thought she could erase me. I lifted my chin, my voice barely a whisper, but sharp enough to cut glass. You got the wrong one, Sasha. I got in my car and drove straight back to the salon, because if someone was inside, then it was time to catch him in the act.
The parking lot outside Serenity Braids was nearly empty by the time I pulled in. Just a couple of cars scattered along the far fence line. The street lights flickered above me, that soft, buzzing hum mixing with the pounding of my pulse. My fingers tightened around the wheel. Someone was inside. I knew it. I could feel it. The salon wasn't supposed to be lit this late, and certainly not after what had happened today. Sasha wasn't bold. She was reckless. Reckless people made mistakes, and tonight, if God was with me, she made one too big to hide. I grabbed the stack of bank documents and slipped them into my purse. Evidence. Real evidence, heavy enough to anchor me, sharp enough to cut through the fear that kept trying to climb up my throat. When I stepped out of the car, the night air was colder than before, sharp enough to sting. My heels clicked on the pavement, slow, steady, intentional. The kind of walk a woman takes when she's scared, but refuses to let the fear run her. As I got closer, I noticed something off. The front door wasn't fully closed. It was slightly cracked, just enough to create a sliver of amber light spilling onto the sidewalk. My heart thudded. I reached for the handle. It was warm, too warm, like someone had just touched it. Breathing slow, I pushed the door open. The chime jingled softly, way too softly. Someone had silenced it. The little felt pad that dampened the sound had been flipped over on purpose. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing? A figure standing at my styling chair. My chair, back turned to me. Sasha. I didn't need her to turn around to know. I could tell by the stance alone. The hand on her hip, the tilt of her weight to one side, the practiced pose of someone who always wanted to be photographed. What are you doing here? My voice cracked, but I forced it steady. She didn't turn, didn't jump, didn't even pretend to be startled. Instead, she ran her fingers along the mirror frame like she was admiring it. "Trying watching where my station will go," she said softly. Her words echoed in the empty salon, bouncing off every wall. This was deliberate, calculated, a show. She turned slowly, her long honey brown hair catching the warm light, and when she faced me, she didn't look scared or guilty. She looked triumphant. "You broke in," I said. She smirked. "Hardly. I still have a key." I stepped closer. "Give it back." She leaned against the chair. "Why? You won't be needing it much longer." Heat blasted through my chest. I reached behind me and locked the door. Her eyebrows lifted. "Oh, you trying to have a talk, Lynn?" "No, I'm trying to hear the truth, the real truth." She sighed traumatically. "You're so tired of your own lies that now you want mine?" "Why?" I demanded. That one word came out like a wound torn open. "I fed you. I raised you. I gave you work, gave you stability, gave you a home. Why would you destroy the only person who ever cared about you like family?" Her jaw tightened. Not the reaction I expected. "You don't get it," she snapped, stepping forward. "You never have." "Then help me understand." I shot back, because right now, all I see is someone throwing away everything for a cheap shot at power. She scoffed. "Power? You think I want power? I'm trying to survive. Same as you." I stared at her. "Survive? By attacking me?" She ran her tongue over her teeth like she was chewing on the answer. "You made me dependent on you." "What?" "You took me in," she continued, voice sharp, "but you never let me outgrow the role you put me in, the broken little cousin you rescued, the girl who needed saving. You became my project, my charity case. You didn't want me to shine. I was your shadow." My stomach twisted. "That's not true, isn't it?" she said quietly. "Anytime I tried to step up, you shut me down. Anytime I suggested something new, you brushed it off. You kept me in my place." "You mean the place where I gave you everything I didn't even have?" She laughed, cold, bitter. There it is again, the martyr act. I blinked, stunned. What? What did you want from me? Respect.
She snapped. Ownership, a say. You kept telling people I was your little helper, like I wasn't the one who brought in half the young clientele. I opened my mouth to protest, but she cut me off. And when I tried to get my own chair, you told me I wasn't ready. That was because you weren't steady. You kept missing morning shifts. You leave clients waiting. I was trying to teach you responsibility. Yeah, well, you taught me enough to take your whole business, she said flatly. The words hit like a punch to the gut. I felt something break. Clean, sharp, inevitable. You forged my signature, I whispered. You altered my accounts. You reversed my rent payments. You tried to get a loan in my name. She didn't deny any of it. Not a single piece. She just shrugged. I did what I had to do. That wasn't survival, I whispered. That was sabotage. It was strategy. And guess what? It worked. My whole body shook, not in fear, but in fury. You think stealing my dream will build yours? I said, stepping closer. It already is. I stepped another step, closing the distance. You think you're ready to run my salon? She smirked. Better than you ever did. Really? I said softly. Then why are you here sabotaging it in the dark? That cracked her. Just a flicker, but I saw it. A shadow of insecurity and something else. Desperation. You don't know what I'm dealing with, she hissed. Then tell me. Tell me why you're doing all this. She hesitated, just long enough to make me wonder if something real, something painful might finally come out of her. But then she shut it down, hard. Her voice iced over. You're not owed my truth. I raised you, and I outgrew you. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. But as she reached it, she paused, turned back, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, by this time next week, Lynn, nobody's going to remember your name. My lips parted in shock. Sasha touched the door handle, clicked it open, and stepped outside. But before she could close it behind her, someone else appeared behind her in the doorway. Tall, broad-shouldered, a man I hadn't seen in years. My ex-husband, Jerome. My heart stopped. Sasha smiled over her shoulder. Oh, good. You two can catch up. Jerome stepped inside, and Sasha shut the door behind him.
For a long, dead second, the world didn't move. Not the air, not the lights, not even my heartbeat. Jerome stood just inside the doorway, the amber glow casting shadows along his jaw and cheekbones. He hadn't changed much. Still tall, still heavy in the shoulders, still carrying that smug, smooth confidence like he invented it. But something in his eyes was different, harder, colder, like life had carved new edges into him. Evening, Lynn, he said, voice dipped in that lazy charm he used to use when he wanted something. Long time. My hands curled into fists. What are you doing here? His gaze drifted around the salon, slow, assessing, intrusive, like he owned the place. Like he had the right to walk in after 8 years of silence. 8 years since he walked out. 8 years since he took my savings, my security, my hope, and left me with nothing but rent overdue and a marriage certificate to tear up. I heard you needed help, he said casually. From who? I snapped. He smiled one-sided. Family. My stomach twisted. Sasha, I breathed. He didn't deny it, just stepped closer, his boots hitting my clean floors like insults. You've got quite a mess on your hands. Back taxes, missed rent, bank notices, fraud investigations. His eyes flicked to me. Shame to let a business you built from scratch go under. My breath hitched. How do you know all that? He shrugged. I've been informed. Informed? I repeated. By who? Another step closer. Doesn't matter. The hell it doesn't. That's my life. My shop. My name. You don't get to stroll in here and act like you're some kind of savior. He tilted his head slightly, that smug half grin pulling up. I'm offering you a deal. Every muscle in my body went rigid. A deal? I echoed. With you? I can get your account straightened out, talk to the landlord, handle the bank, clean up the loan applications, make the investigations disappear. And in exchange, I asked, voice low, cold. He smiled, fully now, the kind that used to fool me, the kind that got him his way. I get 40% ownership of Serenity Braids. My mouth fell open. You're out of your damn mind. That's That's generous, he said smoothly, given the state you're in. I'd burn this salon to the ground before I let you own 1 inch of it. Tusk, softly. Always so dramatic. My pulse hammered. You didn't show up to help me. You showed up to take from me. Again, he didn't deny that either. Instead, he walked to my station, picking up one of my combs like it was a toy, flipping it between his fingers. I should have known you'd never change. And you should have known you can't survive without people who actually know how to handle pressure, he countered. I stepped forward, snatching the comb out of his hand so hard his finger snapped back. I've survived just fine. Really, he said, voice dipped with mock pity. Because from what I've heard, you're hanging on by a thread. Clients gone. Bills stacking, cousin turning on you, business slipping. He leaned in, soft, deadly. You're drowning, Lynn. My hand shook, not from fear, from rage. You and Sasha working together, is that it? He didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't even hesitate. But the tiny twitch at the corner of his mouth, that was the truth. She came to you, I whispered. She ran her mouth about my business, about my accounts, about every damn thing she sabotaged, and you saw an opportunity. He smirked. Like I said, family. I felt the betrayal slice deeper than before. Because Sasha wasn't just attacking my business. She was recruiting my past mistakes, weaponizing my pain, calling in reinforcements. You think I'm desperate enough to let you back into my life? I asked. He folded his arms. I think you're smart enough to recognize when you're outmatched. My voice dropped to a low, dangerous whisper. Get out. That's how you talk to someone trying to save your sinking ship. Get out, I repeated, louder, firmer. He just stared at me, then smirked again. You'll call me. Sooner than you think. He walked toward the door, but before he reached it, he paused, turned, and delivered the line that made my blood run ice cold. You can't beat Sasha. You never could. She's not playing small anymore, and she has people behind her now. He held my gaze. I'm just the first. Then he walked out, leaving the salon door open behind him, the night air pouring in like a warning. I stood there alone, stunned, furious, terrified, and one thing became painfully clear. Whatever Sasha had started, it was bigger than I realized, and it wasn't over, not by a long shot.
The next morning, I woke up with my heart already racing, like it had decided to sprint before my mind even caught up. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, Jerome's voice replayed in the dark. You can't beat Sasha. She's not playing small anymore. It echoed like a bruise under my ribs. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking around my room. The same one I'd lived in for 11 years. The same dresser, the same curtains, the same scent of lavender spray. I tried to breathe, tried to steady myself, but even in my own space, I felt invaded, violated, cornered. And when that feeling hits a Black woman who's already lived through too much, something sharp inside her wakes up. I showered, dressed in my soft black sweater and jeans, pulled my hair back into a low puff, and headed to the salon early enough that the street was still quiet. Frozen dawn light washed over everything in that blue-gray way that makes the world look unfinished. Serenity braids stood there waiting for me, lights off, the glass catching the sky, my sanctuary, my battleground. I unlocked the door, flicked the lights on, and froze. My heart slammed. Every chair was pulled forward, every drawer open, my product cabinets half emptied, towels strewn across the floor like someone had grabbed what they wanted and threw the rest back carelessly. A break-in, a violation. I closed my eyes for one solid, painful breath. Not again. I walked deeper into the salon, scanning everything with trembling hands. It wasn't a smash and grab. No windows broken, no door forced. Whoever did this had a key. My knees went weak as the truth hit. Sasha still had her copy, and she used it. On my desk, a note sat under my appointment book, folded, neat, like someone thought they were doing me a favor by keeping it pretty. I unfolded it slowly, and when I saw the handwriting, my heart dropped straight into my stomach. A large looping S. Then, you forced my hand. You made this war. S. Something inside me snapped. Not broke, snapped. Because this wasn't confusion anymore. This wasn't miscommunication. This wasn't a misunderstanding between family. This was intentional. This was war. I took pictures. Every angle.
every mess, every missing product. I recorded a video walking through the damage, my breath shaking with that mix of fury and pain only betrayal can birth. Then I did something I should have done weeks ago. I called the police. They came within 20 minutes. A black woman officer with calm eyes and a younger Latino officer with a notepad. I walked them through the mess, showed them the note, explained the key situation, the sabotage, the fraud, the stolen clients, all of it. They listened. They took it seriously. And when the black woman officer looked at me and said, "We're opening a full investigation," something tightened in my chest. Not fear this time, strength. After they left, I cleaned slowly, methodically, reclaiming my space inch by inch. I lit my eucalyptus candle. I straightened every comb, every gel jar, every clip. I restocked what I had. I reminded myself whose hands had built this place. By noon, I felt steady enough to call my best friend May and ask her to come help. She rushed over, brought lunch, hugged me so tight I almost cried, then rolled up her sleeves without asking a single question. A real one. Every black woman needs at least one. The day moved fast after that. I reopened the shop, took my one appointment, and kept working until my body started aching. But just when I thought I could exhale, at 6:17 p.m., my phone began buzzing non-stop. At least 12 calls, all from clients, some crying, some cursing, some confused, all saying the same thing. "Why did you send this? This is so unprofessional, Lynn. Tell me this is a lie." I pulled up the link they were talking about. A video posted from an account named Serenity Braids Official with a Z. Sasha's fake page. I tapped it. My face filled the screen, but not my voice, not my words. It was a deep fake, a horrifyingly good one. My digital face saying hateful things, arrogant things, insulting clients, claiming their hair was unmanageable, laughing at their struggles, pretending I was closing my books because low-income clients dragged the business down. My heart cracked. My stomach dropped so fast I had to grab the table beside me. I sounded like a monster, and Sasha wanted them to believe it. Within minutes, the comments were piling up. Shares, DMs, people demanding explanations, dragging the business, threatening to go elsewhere. My hand shook as I recorded a real video explaining that it wasn't me, that the video was fake, that someone was targeting my business. But damage spreads faster than truth, way faster. By 7 p.m., I wasn't just fighting a cousin and her crew, I was fighting the internet. I locked up early, my breath shallow, my head pounding. I got to my car and sat in the silence, gripping the steering wheel with both hands while tears pressed hard behind my eyes. Not because I was losing, but because I could feel it in my bones. The war had escalated again, and if Sasha thought I was going to crawl away quietly, she'd forgotten who raised her. I wiped my face, started the car, and drove off into the night determined to do one thing: get ahead of her, expose her, stop her, before she could destroy anything else I built. But just as I pulled onto the main road, my phone buzzed one more time, this time with the text that made my blood run cold. Unknown number. You should have taken the deal when he offered it. My hands trembled around the phone. Jerome. And now I wasn't sure whether Sasha was the mastermind or just a puppet in something far darker. Either way, I knew one thing for sure. Part 12 was going to change everything. I sat in my car for a long moment, Jerome's text burning into my phone screen like a brand. The night outside felt different somehow, thicker, heavier, like the world was holding its breath. I gripped the steering wheel and whispered to myself, no more fear. Not from him, not from her, not from anybody. I drove straight home, locked every door, dropped my purse on the table, and went to the kitchen for a glass of water. My hands were still trembling, but my mind was clear in a way it hadn't been for weeks. Enough was enough. I opened my laptop, pulled every document, every screenshot, every message. Sasha's fake loan applications, the fraudulent bank statements, the forged signature, the deep fake video, the break-in photos, and every single text from her burner numbers. I organized everything carefully, file by file, date
by date until I had a clean, irrefutable timeline. Then I emailed it all to the detective assigned to my case. I CC'd myself, I CC'd my lawyer, I CC'd the landlord. If they wanted to play war, I'd play it legally. But first, I needed to face someone I'd been avoiding for too long. The next morning, I drove to the shop early. Dawn spread over the street like a soft fire, pink and gold and quiet. I needed that quiet. My spirit needed to stand still before the storm. I unlocked the salon, turned on the lights, and set up my station not as a defeated woman, but the woman I was before Sasha ever touched my life with her bitterness. Then I sat in my chair, hands folded, waiting. At 8:03 a.m., right on cue, the front door swung open. Sasha glided in like she owned the building. Neon nails, long lashes, glossy pink lips. That same smug confidence she'd worn since she realized she could hurt me and get away with it. Except today, she wasn't getting away with anything. Well, she said, tossing her braids over her shoulder. You look tired, cuz. Hard week? I didn't respond. I just gestured at the chair across from me. She rolled her eyes and sat, crossing her legs dramatically. Maggie, quick. You broke into my shop. Her smirk twitched. You stole my inventory. Another twitch. You created a fake page pretending to be me. She shrugged like it was nothing. You used a deep fake video to insult my clients. Her brows lifted almost proudly. And you called Jerome. You brought him into this. This time, her expression flickered. You don't know everything. No, I said softly, but I know enough. I slid a folder across the table. Her eyes followed it, confused at first, then growing wide with something I hadn't seen in her for a long time. Fear. Was this everything? I said. Every message, every forged document, the break-in, the video, the fake accounts, the whole story. Her throat moved as she swallowed. And the police have it too? Sasha blinked. You called them? Days ago, and this morning they issued a warrant. Her mouth chopped open. You can't prove that. I can. I already did. Her fake confidence cracked like glass. For a moment, she looked like the girl I raised. The girl who used to cry on my shoulder after school. The girl who just wanted to be loved. But that girl was gone. And the woman sitting in front of me had made her choices. I stood slowly, walked to the door, and opened it wide. Sasha, I need you to leave. She stared at me. You calling the police? On family? A tear slipped down my cheek, but my voice didn't waver. You stopped being family the moment you tried to destroy me. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. She just grabbed her purse with shaking hands and walked out, head low, steps uneven. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something lift from my spirit. Not victory, not revenge, release. 2 weeks later, the salon was full again, buzzing, laughing, alive. My clients returned after seeing my statement. The detective confirmed charges were filed and the deep fake video was taken down. My landlord worked with me to repair the damages Sasha caused. Even the bank cleared my name on the fraudulent applications. Piece by piece, I rebuilt. I healed. I rose. Not because I had to, but because that's what Black women do. We rise. Always. The afternoon sun warmed the salon windows as I finished braiding the last client of the day. She hugged me before leaving, whispering, "You're stronger than you know," and I knew she was right. As I locked up, I took one final look at Serenity Braids, still standing, still mine, still full of the love I poured into it. Sasha and Jerome tried to break me. They didn't, because you can't break what's already been reforged. My life may never look the same again, but neither will I. And if you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I truly love to know.